So back with another Wi-Fi podcast.
We're back in. Now I'm sitting in. We're back 100% at the office.
Yeah, I see that.
Which kind of. I'll be honest, I'm a little bummed about that.
You're not ready to fully embrace
No.
the back to the office. Well, you know I'm not. You know I have a special situation here.
You get to work from home all the time. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I can't even imagine, but yeah, you're back in the office, and St. Patrick's Day was yesterday, but you didn't have any Guinness.
I did not have any Guinness whatsoever.
Disappointed.
I had some other. I had one. I had a beer.
Oh, okay. All right, that counts, I guess.
Yeah.
So one thing I want to talk about, as far as like troubleshooting a cloud switch, like if it doesn't come online, I had a customer this week that had a 48 port switch, and he said, the firmware updated and then the switch didn't come back online. So I had him basically hold in the reset button, right, for 30 seconds, and the switch, restart, reset to default, pulled its configuration from the cloud and came back up, right? So that's one of the big pluses of the cloud.
Yeah, you probably had it. You probably configured it, huh?
Well, I was thinking, the other thing I told him was make sure that you're using DHCP or that you have your, IP address, subnet, gateway, and DNS configured properly.
Yeah.
Because if you manually change it.
That's what I was saying is he probably went into the switch in the local interface and configured it.
No, it was in the cloud. It was configured in the cloud. It was just like a thing when the firmware updated, maybe something went wrong.
That used to be an issue, though.
Yeah.
People would go in
and change something.
Just log into the local interface and then try to configure it.
Right. So yeah, definitely, configure the cloud switches from the cloud, or don't add them to the cloud and configure them locally.
Yeah.
Basically, right? So anyway, any of these cloud devices, switch or AP, just hold in that reset button for like 30 seconds if you're not seeing it show up in the cloud after, like 5 minutes or so, right?
And
then check your...
A little bit longer than APs, but yeah.
Yeah. And then make sure your IP address settings are correct. That's the only other thing that would really stop it from joining the cloud.
Yeah, it's pretty easy, and I think, you were kind of saying this now, our experience has been, like, with customers or end users, they're afraid to do the factory reset because they're like, oh, I'm going to lose configurations, and it's in the cloud, so it's always there, so it's just going to reset and check with the cloud again, and pull those configs again.
So with the standalone devices, you would like lose your setup. You'd have to go and change your IP addresses and go in and set it up again. With the cloud, it's totally opposite. Like you don't need to do anything. So if there's any issue, just reset it and let it pull its configuration fresh, and then it should be good to go. And the switches have dual firmware in there, so if one of the firmwares got messed up and it crashed or something, it would just probably go on to the second firmware.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about airguard today. So we've had the ECW 230S and 220S for a while now. I've been looking at it. Ingenious has a good white paper. I'll put a link to that so you can see all the features that the airguard supports. I had a customer ask me about the Bluetooth radios in there, because that's like a feature of the security access points. And I'll put up the Bluetooth client screen slide, and basically this will show any devices Bluetooth devices which are in range of the ECW 230S that I have in my network. And right now it lets you basically select the device and favorite it. You can put a star there and you can name the device. So I can say, hey, Jeff's iPhone. So I'll be able to see my iPhone is local if I'm connected to the Wi-Fi or not, right? So it'll see the Bluetooth radio if it's on the iPhone, and you can go and look, say, hey, who's here? And it's not that useful yet, right? So there's an API that you can use if you want to, use these Bluetooth MAC addresses in some sort of, marketing application, right? So you can see who's coming in your store or who's coming in the office.
To a third party,
right?
We would provide the APIs, and you could use like a third party company like Cloud for Y or Purple Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Where you can target marketing to devices, or you can track devices. This is happening a lot in like the retail industry, like casinos, for example.
Yes. Yes.
Even you can do it in like hotels and hospitals, and there's a number of different things that you can do that are pretty useful.
Right.
Not just marketing, but tracking devices within the network. But the initial information gives you an idea of like all the Bluetooth devices that are there, and like you're saying, you can identify some of these MAC addresses and display that info.
Yeah. So it's interesting. It's there. It's good that you can use it. I know a lot of the other vendors you can't see anything as far as Bluetooth goes unless you subscribe to their service.
Yeah.
But you can see the MAC addresses. You see what there. You can see the vendor, which vendor it is. Now I think maybe Apple may be like obfuscating the MAC addresses for the Bluetooth like they do with the Wi-Fi now. I was looking for my MAC address. I couldn't find it in the list, but I'm sure it's in there. I have to do a little more digging. But yeah, so that's what you can use it for now. And if you do want to use the API, contact Bryan. He'll send it to you for something, some sort of application you want to use it with, right? All right. So then we're going to talk about some more of the airguard features now. The zero weight DFS was interesting. I was reading in the white paper about that. So if you have, let's say you have all ECW 230S APs in your network, above the airguard, and spectrum analyzer, all these features that ECW 230S gives you, you also have zero weight DFS, right? So you want to talk about what that is? I can. I can.
Yeah, so zero weight DFS is. So, our 11AX access points, the 230S, 220S, 230, and 220 are DFS capable, certified. Meaning, so if you're operating on 5 gigahertz, you can use the DFS channels within 5 gigahertz. And the benefit to that is having more channels within 5 gigahertz, right? So if you're doing a deployment, there's a lot of 11AX devices, and you or a lot of access points, you can do better channel settings. So you have more channels to choose from. You can alternate channels throughout like a property, for example, right? Does that make sense so far?
Yeah. You definitely want to be able to use those DFS channels, and basically, the rule is that if there's any sort of radar running on those channels that you have. Okay, I'll let you talk about it.
No worries. No, I was just making sure, like, okay, this is why we have DFS.
Yeah.
This is why we would, that's why these are certified, because you can use more 5 gigahertz channels. You're now using, all the channels, including DFS. DFS is also used for, like, radar, for example.
Yeah.
So if you're a school and you're using DFS and you have a police department that's nearby, or if you're near like an airport, you could pick up radar. So what DFS is using, gosh, I can't explain it.
It's using
difficulties because it's so early.
Yeah, it's using weather radar channels. Some government agencies are using those channels too, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's a new thing. So part of getting, part of using DFS as a rule, if you detect radar on a particular channel, you have to let go of that channel and leave it for radar and attempt to use another DFS channel.
Right.
So you never know when that's going to pop up, right? So you could have your access point on a particular channel, and it's or it's auto channel, and it's on that channel, and radar pops up. You have to let that channel go or leave that channel. So when that happens, all the clients that were connected to that access point is disconnected. So how do you avoid that? So that's where zero weight DFS comes into play. Zero weight DFS, what it does is, you have your client devices that are on a particular channel, but at the same time, the 230S and 220S are scanning the other DFS channels, see what's available in case radar is detected on the initial channel, the primary channel. So, for example, if I'm on a DFS channel and the AP detects radar, it lets go of that channel, but it has a list of other channels that it can pick up immediately. And so the experience on the client end is that you don't lose connect, or you're not disconnected for X period of time. You're just switched over to this new channel that's been that's on a list.
Yes, that's a good description of it. So, and I think they may not even disconnect because it probably uses a protocol to, like, a channel change protocol to to automatically be like, all right, you're gonna vacate this channel and go to this channel, and otherwise, what it's got to disconnect, scan the channels, and pick another one, and they will get disconnected on an AP. It doesn't have that scanning radio.
Yeah, because it doesn't have zero weight DFS.
Yeah, right. That doesn't have the zero weight DFS. So that's a big advantage of the ECW 230 and 220S APs. For someone that has, like, mission critical, Wi-Fi that it can't go down for I mean, it's not that it's going to go down. It's just going to take it the client's a second to reconnect, right? If they don't have the zero weight. So if it's like super critical, then definitely looking to getting the 230S, 220S APs in there.
Yeah, and you can avoid a lot of potential calls from end users in troubleshooting, because if you're not aware of it and you're running you're running an auto on 5 gigahertz and you're using the DFS, and a client or multiple clients disconnect at particular times, you may not know right away.
Yeah.
I mean, it shows up in the logs. If you look, you can look in the logs, and it will tell you that radar was detected.
Yeah.
But if you don't know to look there, and you get a call, and it's a high pressure situation, like, what the heck is going on here?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, you're going to be concerned, and there's a lot of pressure there, so. And then you might not even think of that, and you'll start to troubleshoot other things, like there's a problem with the AP, maybe I have something configured improperly or whatever, or did it go through a firmware update? There's a number of things that could pop up and send you down the wrong path.
So if you're using DFS channels and you look in the log and you see that it's detecting radar and changing channels a lot, and your users complain about getting disconnected a lot, maybe you don't want to use those channels if you're on a smaller network.
Yeah.
But on bigger networks, multiple APs, you really need to use those channels if you can.
Exactly. Yep, exactly.
So something to think about. So 230S, that's another great reason to use it. All right, so then I wanted to put up a couple of the airguard screenshots so it can detect rogue APs in a couple of different ways. So we'll put up the man in the middle attack screenshot from the white paper. So basically, someone can set up an access point that's on the same SSID. Oh, you went dark there. They're trying to save.
It's a censored light.
Trying to save some power. So you can. Someone can come in and put in an access point with the same SSID, and basically, try to trap users, right, into using it, or they may just do it because they want to have a stronger signal, close to their desk or their devices.
Yeah, and that happens a lot in businesses. That happens all the time.
Yeah, they bring one in because they want something in there, and they may not necessarily choose the same SSID. It's probably better if they don't, right? But if they could, though, especially if it's there's no encryption on the network, right?
Yeah.
That's the worst case.
That is definitely the worst case. Yeah.
Or if you had pre-shared key set up and they use the same pre-shared key on their device, then that's pretty bad too, because then it's like right into the network.
Yeah, I mean, we actually had that situation here some time ago where somebody put up an AP and connected it to. We have multiple subnets or a couple of networks, and it was connected to a different network. So there are actually users connecting to this AP, but they couldn't get to all their resources.
Right.
And so it ended up being a rogue AP.
Yeah, and I'm sure that it's easy to set them up there. You have plenty of APs kicking around. So that brings up another thing, though. When you onboard one of the Ingenious access point, the cloud access points, right? So let's say somebody bought one. They went out, they bought one, they brought it in your business, and they're just like, I'm gonna put this next to my desk, or I'll put it somewhere, and it looks the same. No one's gonna know, I brought this in, right? But these cloud devices have multi-factor authentication with certificates, and you'll know immediately that it's not on your network. It'll flag it as a rogue, I'm pretty sure, if it's not the same network.
Yeah, because it's broadcasting, especially if it's broadcasting the same SSID.
Yeah.
It's going to identify as a rogue, yeah.
And I think airguard will automatically identify any same network Wi-Fi devices that as rogues. Like if without configuring anything, it shows my Ruckus devices as rogues.
Yeah.
So anyone that plugs in the same network that's not in the Ingenious cloud, the cloud that you're managing, it's going to pop up as a rogue.
Yeah. And as like a best practice, within the cloud interface, you can create a like a whitelist of SSIDs.
Yep.
Or like potential rogue SSIDs. So, like in a hotel, you would probably want to scan for devices saying free Wi-Fi or guest Wi-Fi, because that could be somebody attempting to have or to set up a man-in-the-middle attack.
Yeah.
You want to scan for those SSIDs that look like like a guest Wi-Fi network or like free network. You just got to be cautious of that. So you can actually build that list within the airguard system.
Yep. So I'll put up another shot of like the evil twin. So another thing, even if you try to spoof the MAC address of an AP, let's say somebody's really a good hacker and they change the MAC address of one of the Ingenious APs. I don't know how they would do that, but let's say they do it and they try to join the network. It's still, the cloud's going to flag it because it's not. It knows that the certificate on that device isn't part of your cloud, right?
Yeah.
So here's another example of an evil twin where they set up the access point that has same SSID, but they're trying to get users to connect to it, so then they can basically filter the data passing through, right?
Yeah.
So another example of a rogue or a reason to use it, right there. You have anything to say about that?
This particular screenshot you're showing right now?
Yeah.
So you may have said, I was trying to catch up on the videos.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay.
So with what we're doing is we're scanning for like the SSID name, right? We're also scanning for the MAC address side.
Yep.
Because you can you can spoof that MAC address as well. So the radio MAC address, and that could be on 2.4, that could be on 5 gigahertz.
Got it.
So we are looking at that as well. So we're looking at the SSID, and we're also actually looking at the radio or MAC address, or the BSSID, as it's also known. And
it would probably be another brand, and it wouldn't be like an Ingenious AP that they're spoofing the MAC address on. It was probably some Linksys or something that they it's fully hacked and has its own firmware, tomato firmware or whatever on there, that you could do things like that, right?
Yeah.
And the Ingenious Cloud would know right away that this device isn't, it's not onboarded as a Ingenious Cloud AP.
That's right.
All right, so then one other shot I wanted to show from the white paper, which again I'll put a link below, is the heat map display. So part of the Genius Cloud, you can put in a floor plan, you can draw on the walls and locate your access points, right? So if these are the security access points, the 230S and the 220S, they also have the scanning radio and the spectrum analyzers in there that it'll take into account. So you'll know, basically, you'll place these APs, your APs that you know are there on the floor plan, and then if a rogue is detected, you can try to locate it using the RSSI of being seen from the other access points, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll give you an example. In our building, our place is about, maybe it's too much information, it's about 10,000 square feet. So we have a floor plan within our cloud, network. And so every one of the devices in our network is a ECW 230S, right? So, we have these scanning radios everywhere. So if you have like a rogue device, the airguard system is going to say, hey, you have a rogue SSID or rogue device, right? And one of the pieces of information it tells you is that it lets you know which access point has identified the rogue SSID or the rogue device, right? So in our case, because we only have 10,000 square foot building that we're in, but we have 5 of the 230Ss, they all detect a rogue SSID or rogue device. So it's like, okay, how do I know where this thing is? It's somewhere within this 10,000 square foot office, right? Uh-huh. So one of the really great advantages of the airguard system is that it will tell you how far away the rogue device has been detected, and it will tell you that in signal strength or RSSI.
Yep.
So it will tell you, depending on the RSSI, how strong the RSSI is. Will say it's closer to a particular access point. So in my case, I have 5 access points. And I'll look at the 5 access points. They all detect the same rogue SSID or rogue device. And then I look at the signal strength, and the stronger the signal strength, the closer that rogue device is to that particular access point. The nice thing about that is all these access points are laid out on a map. And so I can say, oh, this is in the cafeteria, or this is in meeting room 1. Or this is on on floor 2, in the west wing or something like that. So it allows you to start really in a big area and then focus into a particular area, so you can actually physically go find this particular device or the person that has this device. So it's really helpful in that regard.
Yeah. So I mean, it lets you can basically find the general area that rogue access point's in. You could print this out and then send it to somebody that's going to be trying to find it, right? So you can find where it is and using that heat map. So that's pretty interesting also.
Yeah.
All right, Brian. Anything else you want to talk about?
Just really quick. So I know I talked about this before. So we have the Switch Diagnostics. I know we're coming up on 30 minutes, but. It was really interesting. I was creating a presentation for one of the trainings that we just did this week, and I was going through the Switch Diagnostics, and I was looking at our own switches, and I noticed that one of the switches, one of the ports on the switch had it was seeing CRC errors, and I thought that was interesting. I was like, okay, that's interesting. So you can run your mouse over the port, and it will tell you how many errors you have. And I was just doing this to get screenshots, but I noticed it because it showed highlighted the area where there was problems, or highlighted the port. So I was like, okay, I'll go into the server room and check the port just to see what's happening there. But I could run I could run a cable test and everything on that particular port. But I was, I ran a test, everything looked okay. But when I went over there, still seeing CRC errors, I noticed that the Ethernet port or the Ethernet cable was connected, but it wasn't fully connected. I actually could push it in further and click in. Once I did that, the errors went away.
Yeah, that's nice.
So, yeah, it was really, I was actually pretty excited about it, that, you know, in a situation where you're hundreds of miles away, thousands of miles away from a location, you can direct somebody that has no clue about networking and say, hey, can you go to this room, or if they have access to the room, can you go to this area and just check the cables, see if they're connected properly and things like that. You can start to think that way and do this remote, troubleshooting.
Yeah.
And so, it gave me a better understanding. I already knew it, but it gave me a better understanding of like what kind of troubleshooting, remote troubleshooting, we're providing to like our customers. So it was pretty neat to be able to go through that process.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing I wanted to do.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, we're seeing more and more. People ask me all the time, well, what's the advantage of that cloud switch? Do I need to use it? And I'm like, listen. You can use any switch, but this is going to save you a lot of time. We're seeing more and more, ways that troubleshooting remotely is helping. Like we're able to look at it and be like, oh, this, do this. And otherwise, you're kind of blind there. So yeah, it totally makes sense. The idea of resetting the switch and it pulls its configuration again without spending, an hour setting it up again. Manually. That's pretty big too, I think. But yeah, being able to tell somebody, go into the closet, look on port 9 on the switch and make sure that cable's plugged in. That's big too.
Yeah. Or even looking at the continuity of the cable. You can do that with the cable test, things like that.
Yeah.
Even, another situation was that somebody was saying, I can't get more than 100 megabit out of this, out of your 11AX access point. And you can quickly look at the switch and say it's negotiated at 100 on the port, and go, you probably have a Cat 5 cable in there. It's not a Cat 5e.
Right, they have a Cat 5 cable they found somewhere in the box.
Yeah, just like simple little things like that. There's a lot of problems that we run into. There's a lot of troubleshooting that we do. It's on layer 1.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a complicated issue. It's just somebody overlooked something, or somebody was overconfident and they're like, no, I know this is a good cable or whatever. I mean, I use the right cable. There's a number, or the cable length. There's a number of things that you can do remotely using these switches. It's pretty amazing. I think.
It is. It's awesome. All right. Well, that's it for this week. Remember to like and subscribe for more help with Wi-Fi, and we'll be back next week. And post questions in the comments.